everybody. Welcome to the Cats and Bolts podcast, coming to you from the beautiful Podcast Junkie Studios in downtown Boca Raton, Florida. I'm your host, Rod Peterson, and pleased to be joined by our co-host, the lovely and talented Sarina Taylor. And today, this is what we are calling, I forgot my bell again, the Battle of Florida episode, because coming up this Saturday, dun dun dun, Florida Panthers at the Tampa Bay Lightning in a 5 p.m. Eastern face-off. We're going to be there. Cats and Bolts will be there. Can we get Sarina on? We have some fun props here. We've been wanting to make a roadie to Tampa, Sarina. It's finally happening.
I'm very excited about this. I'm also super excited about a 5 o'clock start.
Yeah, she likes the early starts?
Yeah.
Yes. And we got to thank Brent Waltman. It was his idea, Brent, a regular viewer, Panther season ticket holder, who said, hey, we're going. Do you want to jump in? What will we say? Does Howdy Doody have wooden balls? Yes. Yes, we're in. Let's go. Now, before we get to our usual, we got a lot of viewer questions here, and that I didn't plan that. Last week we did a viewer question segment, but they just popped out, all of you, with a bunch of questions this week, so I'm excited about that. But we are recording today the Battle of Florida episode on Valentine's Day, and I just want to tell you what life is like in our life. This beautiful Valentine's card from Sarina that I got today.
I will kill you.
I'm not going to read the whole thing. She'll kill me. It just says, all I need is you, and then she wrote in, and hockey. You couldn't find a card that says that in Florida? All I need is you and hockey?
No, not at the Publix.
You had to write that in?
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's, babe. Love, Sarina, it says. So thank you so much. I wanted to point that out. Is that okay?
I guess. It's better than the card I got. Let me pull it out. Oh, thanks, Rod. So
That's
nice.
a long story. A very long. Can we move on? I wandered into a trap and didn't even know that I said it on myself.
You'll never learn. You got to know by now.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, never mind.
No, defend yourself.
I'll say, she said this a couple years ago. I'm not really into Valentine's. I don't celebrate it. I'm like, perfect. I won't buy anything then. And then I come home today and there's a card and there's cake and there's supper and she's making us supper.
Which is true. I did say that.
You did.
I'm just busting you up.
So you did a great job.
I'm trying to defend you here by telling everybody.
That's the true story. So we're here to talk hockey, not Valentine's. And welcome to the Battle of Florida podcast episode of the Cats and Bolts podcast. It is this Saturday, Florida, Tampa Bay. Sarina, it's going to be a theme through the show. Lightning, Panthers, Florida NHL hockey. But they only met once before this year. It was also in Tampa Bay, December 27th. A 3-2 Cats win. Sam Reinhart scored the winner 3:11 into the third period. It was a classic goaltending battle. Sergei Bobrovsky versus Andrei Vasilevsky. Can I just ask you, based where the teams are right now, what you think will happen on Saturday at Amalie Arena?
The way that Tampa's been playing lately, I feel like Tampa's going to pull it out.
Really?
Yes. I mean, we were talking about it this morning. Like, you're like, have you seen Tampa lately? I was like, I was the one that said, do not sleep on these guys.
Yes,
and you're
did.
like, they are not going away. You can't expect them to. They're way too talented of a team.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see a similar game to the one that was here. It's not going to be an 8-5 game. I would think not.
No, well, I watched the game in Boston Tuesday night, obviously on television, and it was a great game, which the Lightning ended up winning in a shootout, and Braden Point became the 10th all-time leader in Tampa Bay Lightning games played. I'm like, that was fast.
Doesn't take much.
No, yeah, the way the NHL is now, it doesn't.
Is that the
take much.
Allmark game?
The Allmark game?
The Allmark suspension slashing. Have you not seen the suspension Allmark got? I don't even remember if they were playing Tampa. Allmark got suspended. Now I totally forget. I saw the highlight today. He got suspended for 5 games for, I think they called it a slashing.
Okay.
But
that wasn't what I was watching for.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm just
entertaining.
We're this sad. I think
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up. You talk.
No, that's fine. It's not that important.
No, I'm going to look it up.
Well, I'm moving into point 2. I'm getting into the viewer questions here. And by the way, they all came via Instagram. I invite you to please follow us at Cats and Bolts on Instagram. I actually feel like a lot of you probably are. But Sarina, this question came in from Bure 1096. Okay, Bure 1096 is the account. And he says, regarding Battle of Florida, when will this be a rivalry? And I hate the fact that it's not a rivalry, but when we look at rivalries in the National Hockey League, we always refer on this show regularly to the Oilers and Flames. There's obviously Montreal-Toronto. There's Montreal-Quebec City days gone by. There's the Rangers Subway Series with the Islanders. There's a lot of hate there. there's not a lot between the Panthers and the Lightning, and when they only play 3 times a year, that's not going to build a rivalry.
I feel like back in the day when the teams played 8, 10, 12 times a year, you have more opportunity for something to happen. So like you said, there's only 3 times that they play each other this year, but nothing has ever really happened to create a rivalry. Mm-hmm. These teams have played each other enough in the playoffs, but you got to remember the passion here is not the same as it is between Toronto and Montreal and Edmonton and Calgary. So the fans create a lot of that. But there was also something that happened in days gone by in every one of those series or games or whatever that created that years and years ago. I mean, the Montreal thing is 100 years old. That's different.
And that's not the Lightning or Panthers' fault. Those teams are 100 years old, as she just said. The Rangers are 100 years old, and at least the Islanders have been around since, was it 67 they entered the league?
But the Edmonton and Calgary are not 100 years old. It's just a different passion.
Yeah, that's different.
The teams have been here long enough, but nothing significant has happened between them. Yeah. There wasn't a nasty cross-check or a big line brawl.
Yet.
Correct, that's what I'm saying. So what could make a rivalry here? Maybe something like that, but honestly, I don't think it's there. I don't think it'll ever be there.
If I'm right in my years, roughly I think I am, in 1979 the Oilers came into the NHL, and the Flames moved from Atlanta to Calgary in 82 or 83, right around there.
Yeah, around there.
And within a year, they wanted to kill each other. But that's just an Alberta thing. Those cities hated each other, right? Long
Correct.
before they had hockey teams.
The fans hate each other.
Right.
The fans live and die by those hockey teams. You can't go anywhere in that province or in those cities without that being the biggest talk of the city. It's just not like that here.
Yeah, and having said all of that, to answer your question, Bure 1096, the only way it will happen is if they play 7, 8, 9, 10 times in the regular season, which could happen. They used to.
It should.
Right, it should. I think the NHL went away from that because of what the Oilers and Flames did.
Of course.
They were having brawls on Hockey Night in Canada. Kids couldn't sleep for days. There was blood all over the ice. That's the truth.
Who couldn't sleep for days watching the hockey
game? The last time it happened on the Saturday night when Mike Smith fought Cam Talbot, George Paris flew in from the NHL head office, the head disciplinarian, to sit and watch like a principal sitting in the back of the classroom. And then, of course, nothing happened, right? Because he was there. So they got to play more in the regular season, and then they got to play every year in the playoffs for...
Yeah, it would take a lot to build that. But again, they played enough times in the playoffs. I'm kind of surprised there's not a little more, but it's not the same intensity.
It's still okay to call it the Battle of Florida.
Well, that's what we're calling it.
Right.
So.
But it could be a little more fierce, let's put it that way. Now, moving on from Maryland to Maryland. Hi, Mayor. Sarina's very bestest friend. She writes, and this isn't a question. She said, Gritty is the best mascot in the NHL. Thoughts? That's the Philadelphia Flyers mascot that looks like...
Gritty.
Yeah, a big orange...
We need our friend
killing
Thad.
machine.
Thad is the mascot king of the National Hockey
Thad.
League.
He watches every day. He's at the beach house.
I don't know. I can't even really remember a lot of the mascots. But Gritty's probably the most popular.
I have a mascot... To say fetish would be incorrect because it has nothing to do sexual. I have a mascot fascination. And here, Stanley C. Panther's okay. There's Victor E. Rat. He comes to the parties that we attend with the... I know. And I always get him mixed up with Martin E. Rat. And I'm not joking. I always call him Martin E. Rat. And Thad's always, it's Victor.
Thad probably has no clue who Martin E. Rat is. Probably
played
no
for the
idea,
Red Deer
what
Rebels
the
and the
hell?
Nashville Predators, and his name was Martin E. Rat.
E-R-A-T.
Yeah,
Martin E. Rat.
and the one mascot here that's a mouse is called Victor E. Rat.
Now you're going to have me thinking that every time. I haven't heard the name Martin E. Rat in years.
I'll literally see him on the concourse at American Bank Arena and go, hey, Martin. Oh, no, it's Victor. But... do you even know who the Oiler mascot is? And I don't say that to make you feel bad.
Yeah, but I forget his name. Like, I know what he looks like.
Okay, what is he, a driller, like an oil guy?
No, he's got like a wolf, like a animal. He's some type of vicious animal, just like they all are. Like with the things sticking out. Like I don't know if he's a cat or a wolf or.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell he is.
So Mayor says it's Gritty. But I don't really get down with the NHL mascots. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Their mascot is Rowdy, which I think is great. Rowdy Roddy. That's how I'll never forget it. But
you forget Martin Erat.
I just get confused. I don't forget. There's a difference.
Got some deep stuff here to sort out.
Yeah, but in Calgary, it's Harvey the Hound.
Well, Harvey the Hound's been around for a long time.
Since day one.
Yeah.
And he was hanging over the glass one night in a Battle of Alberta game, and the Oilers coach, Craig McTavish, reached into his mouth and ripped his tongue out.
Yeah, he reached up and over.
Yeah,
up and over
the glass and ripped his tongue out. That's what creates a rivalry.
Yeah, people don't play up there, man. No. They don't play.
Well, if we could take Stanley C. Panther and Victor Erat or Martin Erat on the road to Tampa this week, and we had John Cooper abuse them, now we got something.
But you and I both know that's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
Cooper's way too chill for that.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, for the question, and sure, we'll go with gritty is the best. But around the NHL, they're not that famous like they are in other places. In Winnipeg, there are guys named Benny. I don't know what he looks like, but I know it's Benny and the Jets. Are you an Elton John fan?
Well, I know the song.
Yeah. So but other than that, you don't really think about mascots, do you?
That does. But I don't know. But you know what I will say? Last year when we were here at the skills competition, everybody in the crowd was getting their picture taken with the mascots because all the mascots were there. They didn't care about what was happening on the ice because there was a lot of time in between. They wanted to see those mascots.
And
whenever, I get it.
Thad showed up and took a video of it from the beach house, which reminds me, when we do have guests here on the Cats and Bowls podcast, they receive gift cards from Beach House Pompano, a scenic rooftop restaurant on the shores of Pompano Beach, and also Beresco, a tropical outpost serving only the freshest tacos and lush jungle vibes, located at 2125 North Pompano Beach Boulevard, right across the street from the Beach House. Okay. Alec writes in, and I could spend 2 hours on this. We won't, but because I think about it a lot. Alec says, would you like to see Florida in an outdoor game? Well, hell yes, I would. And I saw this when the outdoor game was going on in Alberta in the fall. Somebody said, we need to play the Panthers, and why not play against the Lightning in Lone Depot Park here, the home of the Miami Marlins? Now, Sarina lived in L.A. for 10 years, 12 years?
10 years.
10 years. You have thoughts on the outdoor game that was played in L.A. or Anaheim. Which was it?
It was in L.A. It was at Dodger Stadium.
Okay.
It's logistically, it's first of all, it's a spectacle. It's not, it was like, I had people like, you're not going to the outdoor game? I'm like, do I look like I'm from here? Like, why would I go participate in that? It's like, I hate going to Dodger Stadium. It's a train wreck getting there. That's a big part of it. But I know they had a hard time keeping the ice there. And then when they tried to play on Lake Tahoe, that was a disaster. But the ground there is colder than it is here, and it's not as humid. It would just, logistically, I don't think they could do it here.
Do you think they would have if it was the environment, the climate was more conducive to it? Do you think they would have by now?
Of course. Gary Bettman's all about pushing hockey in the Sunshine State. Of course. You think they haven't thought of it? They have. They just can't make it happen. It's not cold enough. You could never do it.
We can't. That's the thing. We can't. You would sit here and think, oh, they're playing the Stadium Series this weekend in New York, and they were in Alberta in the fall playing. What's happening for Florida? You got to think the owners, and if not the owners, the executives of the Panthers and Lightning are lobbying for it, as are probably the Coyotes owners and the. Wouldn't they? That's their job.
I don't know. They're also not stupid. They realize that it's not, like, they're probably not losing sleep over it because they also realize it would be very difficult to pull that off.
With enough money, anything's possible, and these guys have enough. So I think it's like somebody 2.5 to 3.5 million to put the ice in, period, is probably what it cost in Edmonton, let alone doing it here. So I wouldn't sleep on it. The question was, would you like to see it? Of course we'd like to see it. Will we? That's a different story. Yeah. But I'd love to see the Lightning play the Panthers in Lone Depot Park. And, close the roof while you're making the ice and then open it just for the game. Then it would be truly an outdoor game. But anyways, we've thought about it, and we're not holding our breath. What?
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's like...
Moving on from the Alexander Barkov fan page account on Instagram. Give him a follow. He says, do you all like the Panthers or the Lightning more, or is it 50-50? Well, I've long said I'm a fan of whoever's paying me. In this case, neither is. So let's just say I'm a fan of wherever I'm living. So for that matter, right now, it's Panthers. But you got some photos there, Ben. I would like to show this. The Lightning, the last time they won the Stanley Cup, I was invited to this Stanley Cup party, and you're going to see some photos here. I have Lightning gear, but it's all in Canada. at my place there. So Ben's finding it. There you go. That's me and Al Murray, the assistant GM of the Lightning at the time. He's since been smoked. He doesn't work for the team anymore. And here's another photo. Recognize that? Lord Stanley, the Coupe de Stanley, that was at the Lightning party. So when we go to Tampa this weekend, I'm going to buy some gear so I can wear it on this show. I'm not anti-Tampa Bay Lightning, and I think living here, we know a lot of Lightning fans here. There's a lot here. I think it's okay to pull for both, is my point. You're not going to. Why are you thinking so?
Well,
You're
I was like, do
words.
I say this?
You're choosing your words very carefully.
This? It goes back to the lack of intensity here. Who cares? No one here is like, if I saw a guy wearing a Calgary Flames hat walking around downtown Florida, I would go say something to him. I've said things to Habs fans. I've said people here don't care enough.
I did my television show from a casino in Calgary for a big chunk of 2 years. In Calgary. And Sarina came up to visit me one time. And of course, how do you think she dressed? Oilers gear every day. They said stuff to you. It's not just her saying things to Flames fans. They said stuff to you.
No, I would expect that. I was like, if you don't voice your opinion, you should.
Well, she walked into the Grey Eagle Casino, I don't mind saying, with an Oilers shirt on, chest sticking out, and the lady, do you remember what she said to you?
No.
She said, you got a lot of balls wearing that in here. And I don't even know if she was like being rude or kind of teasing you. I think she might have been serious.
I was like, well, fair enough.
Yeah, so
see ya.
That's the difference between that rivalry and this one. So the question is, do you like the Panthers or Lightning more? The Panthers are really, really, really good to us. They accredit us to every game. They made sure that we got all the bobbleheads that we wanted. They've put people on our show. We have a relationship with the alumni. We haven't had any of that from the Lightning yet. So I'm not closing the door on loving the Lightning, but the Panthers have given us a lot of reason to love them. So I would say it's probably around even. And then she didn't cheer for either one. Let's just be honest about it.
I don't, but if push came to shove, I would choose the Lightning.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
I really like Steve Stamkos. I always have. And there's not really anybody that plays for the Panthers. And I'm like, man, except Carter Verhaeghe. We all know how I feel about him. But I respect the Lightning a lot more. I'm just not really a Panthers fan.
It's all fair. There's no wrong answer to this, I don't think. I don't know how you couldn't love Bob, but you're not a goalie guy like me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike him. There's not a lot of players that I love that play for the Panthers.
You're neutral.
Yeah, it's more of a Stamkos fan.
I like this one from Kevin. He writes in and says, does anyone want to hang out before the March 7th and 9th games? And I'm like, how could we do that? He says before, not at. Because I'll be honest, we need to have some like informal cats and bolts gatherings on the Patron patio. We're actually having informal cats and bolts gatherings on the Patron patio as it is.
What day of the week are those games?
The 7th and 9th, I don't know. We'll look at it. But it got me thinking. If we did an unofficial tailgate party or something like that, why the heck not? Why not have a cats and bolts little bash ahead of the game?
The 9th is a Saturday.
There you go.
It could
Who are
be
they playing?
something we could put together.
Is that the Flames game? So I only live one day at a time.
It has to be. Because the Flames are here the first week or whatever. And I'm pretty sure it's a Saturday.
Well, we're going to be guaranteed to be going to that game.
Well, if you want to see me cheer for the Panthers, that's your one opportunity in the universe.
She hates the Calgary Flames with a passion. Yeah, 4 p.m. start. We're going to call it right now? Tailgate party?
Yeah, 4
Cats
o'clock.
and bolts? There you go. Thank you for the suggestion. It's not the craziest idea in the world.
I like it because being a 4 o'clock start, everybody's kind of going to the rink early anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
and Junie will be there.
Junie better be there.
He can come to our tailgate party.
We'll pick him up on the way.
That's Bill Lindsay's dad who comes to every game and sits in the press box, but he doesn't go to the late games.
You know what? We missed his birthday. His birthday was 2 days ago. He turned 93.
Well, we'll give him a call.
Mental note, text Billy.
Moving on. Stanley Cup odds came out this week from our official betting partner from my television show, The Rod Peterson Show. And I want to tell you what they are. Your Edmonton Oilers are the number one odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup right now. How does that make you feel? Not good?
Scared. I don't like that.
Kiss
I don't
of
like
death?
that. It's like No, I don't think that, because it changes every week. But when people ask me, like, pick between this series, who's going to win this? Who's going to what? I've said this to you a million times. I don't want any part of this. I never bet against my team, but I don't want to pick them. Unless they're playing Calgary, then 100% I will. But otherwise, yeah, it makes me nervous.
Well, the very interesting thing about this, it's fun to talk about here. And I hope people are enjoying our NHL hockey with a Florida twist. But if they're not, I don't care, because I can tell we are. Edmonton's number one, which is whatever. Because they're not the number one team in the NHL. They're actually 11th overall in the NHL. Vancouver's number one in the NHL as we sit here today. The Florida Panthers are 5th in the overall standings, and the Lightning are 12th. And when you consider the top 16 make the playoffs, that's good for both teams. But in those odds, Florida's 4th, and there's Tampa Bay. You can't find them with a search party. They're not. You know what I mean? They're not even a favorite at all.
Right, but those numbers don't mean squat.
No, they don't.
That's why I say, like, well, who cares if Edmonton's, like, it doesn't mean anything. You still have to win. I don't. Tampa is just, like you said, like, they're not going away. They're gonna. Don't count them out.
So basically, they'd be a good team to lay money on. I mean, you're not a bettor in any way, shape, or form.
I guess it depends on who they play in the first round. Every team has that bugaboo, that one team that they just can't beat. And I feel like if any time that the Panthers and the Lightning play, the Panthers have a tough go. Man, they have a tough time beating Tampa in a series. But it's because of Tampa's depth and the experience and how many years that they've been in the playoffs. And that's the same thing. Boston lost last year in the first round, but that series could have went either way, right? It's not saying Boston lost because they weren't the better team. They just lost. So you never know what's going to happen in the playoffs, especially with a team like Boston. So if Tampa came up against Boston, if Tampa comes up against Toronto, different story.
By the way, we are, I want to send a special shout out to Johnny O at Johnny O's Gymnasium. He watches the show. Hey, Johnny, literally the biggest Bruins fan that I know. Both literally and figuratively the biggest Bruins fan I know, Johnny O. I saw a post at Johnny O's Gymnasium. It is Workout with the Pros at Johnny O's, Florida's largest outdoor covered gym. Check us out on Boca Raton Boulevard. I saw a poll the other day. If you're the Panthers, who are you most afraid of playing in round one? And the options were Boston, Toronto, or let's say Tampa. None of them would I want to play. I mean, I think they could beat them all. They have.
But everybody here thinks, oh, yeah, it's going to be a cakewalk. Bring on Boston. Bring on Toronto. You just never know.
I
wouldn't want to play Tampa probably the most, or Boston. Boston is not going to let happen what happened last year. No way, no how.
So they'd be the one you want no
Boston
part of it around
one. Boston would demolish.
Yeah.
They've just, when you lose, it's like, I think it was it Moeller last week? It was saying when you lose, you have a different hunger for winning. When you lose in the Stanley Cup final, you have a different hunger than when you win it.
I'm going to be morphing a lot of the last points. They all kind of all roll in together. I'm not trying to, but they do. The biggest story of the week in the National Hockey League was a 5-game suspension to Toronto defenseman Morgan Rielly. Because here's what happened. Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada. You know this is big. It's Saturday of Super Bowl week. I'm in Las Vegas. This is popping up all over my phone and the television that I'm watching. Empty net goal, Ottawa's Ridley Gregg, a rookie, skates down the ice and stops in front of the net and slaps it into the net, empty net, rubbing it in the face of the Toronto Maple Leafs in Hockey Night in Canada. He no sooner turns to skate back to his bench, and Morgan Rielly skates across the ice and cross-checks him right across the face for it. I'm on record as saying I have no problem with either one of what they did. You want to slap it into an empty net, Ridley, you go ahead. And Morgan, if you want to go cross-check him in the face for it, you go ahead. To me, that's old school hockey. So a 5-game suspension, I didn't think he maybe should have got a 5-minute penalty, let alone a 5-game suspension. So I'm not going along with it. I don't like it. You?
Oh, I'm the complete opposite.
Shocking.
Ridley Gregg was frustrated. He's going to go in and take a slap shot. He deserves somebody coming after him.
That's what I'm saying.
100%. It's never okay to cross-check somebody in the head. And I know you had Jim Lang on your show. He's like, well, you can't hit to the head anymore. Bitch, when Dale Hunter did it, he got suspended long before the hit to the head penalty. You can't hit a guy in the head. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the reason is. If you have a problem, cross-check him, hit him into the boards, punch him in the face, get in a fight, whatever. Let him fight it out and be done with it. But when you go cross-check a guy in the head with your stick, as a grown hockey player that's supposed to be in control of your stick, you are in the wrong. You deserve at least a 5-game suspension. Absolutely. I have no problems that he retaliated. I have a problem with his actions.
The opinions of the co-host did not reflect the opinions of the host of the RP show. Because let's just say, because Matthew Barnaby was on my television show and said what you just said. He's like, don't cross-check him in the face. Drop the gloves with him.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Where are you going to punch him? Where are you going to try and punch him?
In
the head. So what's the difference?
The difference is you're using a stick, a weapon.
It's assault either way. Assault with a weapon, assault with your
fists. Not
fists.
according to hockey, it's not. Not according to the hockey rules, it's not. You can get in a fight and punch somebody in the head and not get a 5-game suspension. You cannot hit somebody in the head with your stick and not expect a suspension. That's the difference.
Fair. I mean, I didn't expect this would be this hot button of a topic, but are we all okay with, you said it's okay with what Ridley Gregg did, rubbing it in the face of the Leafs? Because I don't think I'm an eye for an eye guy. I've called 2,000 hockey games in my life, not to mention live 51 years. You act like an asshole, you're going to mess with a bull, you get the horn. So that's why I don't have a problem with it. That's just me. And by the way, I'm a guy that taunted 1 million fans, and I paid for it, and I'm still paying for it in a lot of ways.
If Ridley Gregg did that against the Oilers, I would be pissed. I was pissed that he did it in the first place. You don't act like a punk. And what I think bothered me the most, these are 2 good guys. These are not guys that are idiots. Ridley Gregg is an incredible hockey player, and that guy, they're never going to forget. And this is what I told my dad this morning on the phone. Remember when Daniel Alfredsson took that slap shot from center ice? People never got over that. They never forgave him. And it's going to be the same against Anaheim. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, that's people's fault.
But
people don't get over stuff.
But the Anaheim fans were like still pissed to this day about it. Fine, fair enough. I would be too. But if you let those guys go and hash it out and get in a fight, if Riley would have chased him down, grabbed him, and punched him like they typically do when you're upset with a guy, it would have been over and done with. They would have both paid the piper and it would have been done. But it's not now.
Okay, fair. It just reminds me of the game here against Vegas, when Ryan Lomberg one-punched Keegan Kolesar. I mean, people can get hurt being punched.
Yeah,
they can get killed being punched, by the way. So I don't see the distinction between a stick and a punch. I don't. I'm sorry.
The difference is they were both facing off each other to fight. Ridley Gregg had no idea that was coming. It's like when Bertuzzi got suspended because he sucker punched somebody. He got suspended because he attacked a player that was not seeing it coming. He went up behind him and hit him on the side of the head and got like 30 games or whatever. He should.
32. And Steve, what was the kid's name? Steve.
The kid that never played again?
You never played again. But if he'd ever used his stick, maybe he should have used his stick and it would have been okay. I can't. I'm confused. Now, bringing up Kolesar and the Vegas Golden Knights, see how I said this would all weave in? I just came back from Vegas Super Bowl week, and I'll be honest, the Golden Knights did not get squeezed out. Downtown on Las Vegas Boulevard, all the light posts had flags on them of the Golden Knights in the area of New York, where the rink is, T-Mobile Arena. And the one thing I did hear, Sarina, like with the Raiders, they've been awful for a long time, and they're not going to be good for a long time. But what I was hearing from people, they were saying it to me, and I overheard people talking about it. What's going to happen to the Golden Knights when they're not that good, and the Raiders are good? They're going to lose their fan base, both in Vegas and outside Vegas. And you and I both know, I'm here to tell you and write it down, the Vegas Golden Knights will always be good as long as Kelly McCrimmon's their general manager.
Wow. Okay, couple things here. Vegas spends the money on advertising and marketing. It's all about marketing. It has nothing to do with anything other than that. There are guaranteed way more football fans in Las Vegas than there are hockey fans, right? It's marketing. But you're absolutely right. Whatever Kelly McCrimmon touches, it turns to gold, pardon the pun. It literally, if I could choose a general manager for the Oilers, it would be a guy like that. It would be Kelly McCrimmon. From top to bottom, nobody else would even be on my radar. that guy, and he's unassuming. It's like you don't hear a lot about Kelly McCrimmon. We only do because we know who he is and whatever else. He doesn't get enough credit. Like people are talking about I think the last week we had somebody ask about Bill Zito being the GM in the year. But he pales in comparison to Kelly McCrimmon. The things that Kelly McCrimmon does are setting the tone for the Vegas Golden Knights for years down the road. Just like Dale Talon did when he signed Bob and everybody crapped on his face about it. Well, guess how that's working out.
Yeah.
Bill Zito's got a lot more to prove, and he doesn't hold a candle to Kelly McCrimmon.
Yeah, well, for sure. But I mean, they were in the Stanley Cup final against each other
Let me
rephrase
that. When I said Bill Zito has a lot more to prove, I don't mean more, I mean longer time. Kelly McCrimmon's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
He's put in a lot of time and he's made a lot of hockey teams successful. I just mean that Bill Zito doesn't have the same resume.
They've taken different roads
to
the NHL too. Bill was an agent, but just think about this. Edmonton could have had, if my timeline's right, could have had Kelly McCrimmon. But they hired Ken Holland instead. If I have that right.
It's not a bad hire.
Now that I think about it, actually, no, Krim
he
went to Vegas first.
I was going to say.
Holland was hired after that.
Every
team whiffed on not hiring Kelly McCrimmon.
But you know what it is?
What?
It's the guys, and I don't think the Oilers operate like this, much to my chagrin, but it's the guys that pick the Canadians. They pick the Canadians, they pick the Saskatchewan guys, they pick the Manitoba guys because they know how to make it work. Kelly gets his guys. He's no fool.
Well, and one thing I really do appreciate from our viewers is the ones that write in questions about you and me. Like, I've known Kelly McCrimmon since I was 16 years old in training camp with the Brandon Wheat Kings. I was a goalie and he was an assistant coach. That's how long we've known each other. And we've had a love-hate relationship ever since it began then.
Well, he loves me.
Who doesn't, Sarina? Let's be honest. He's only human. Our last point is this. We are going to Tampa. I'm winding it up on this. It's finally happening. And I thank Brent Waltman for the invitation. We're going with them, staying with them. And what to do in Tampa Bay. You got days, Lightning fans and Panthers fans that are going to be there to let us know what to do, where to go. I want to get some Lightning gear. I'll probably do it in the store. It's been since 2013 that I went to Lightning games in the arena. And what do you know about Tampa Bay as a place?
Not a lot. I've never actually been into the city of Tampa.
Yeah.
Just a little further south, always on the West Coast, but it's a beautiful area.
Yeah, I've hosted sporting trips there, so I've been around Tampa Bay, but I was drinking then. I don't drink anymore. It's been 9 years. I'm trying to remember. What's the cool area? Was a Yuletown district or not Yaletown.
Ybor City?
Starts with a Y. What did you say?
Ybor City?
Ybor City, is that what it is?
I think so.
Very popular area of Tampa Bay.
Dude, I don't know.
We're going up in the morning. So people can write in our comments here and tell us what to do, where to go, and I would love to see us end up in an impromptu tailgate party of our own for Cats and Bolts. I just want to mention before we roll that we are brought to you by DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. And so we're doing this Saturday, the Battle of Florida, and then the third and final meeting of the regular season is Saturday, March 16th here. So failing that Flames game, although I think we'll do a tailgate then, maybe we'll do another one on the 16th, and then maybe these two teams will meet in the playoffs. Any last thoughts on Battle of Florida episode?
I think we really need to look into the 9th, doing something in the afternoon. If it's going to be a 4 o'clock start, I definitely think we should.
Catered by the Beach House. Thad will be there providing entertainment.
Yeah, he'll have to leave work early that day.
I think it'll all be fantastic. All right, great job, Benny boy. And Christian, thanks for nothing. We'll see you next week here on the Cats and Bolts podcast, live from Podcast Junkie Studios.